Thank you, dear thing. I cannot call you human or animal or rock or leaf or element. I can call you universe. You have created us as angels. We are your angels. You have equipped us with all that is necessary to understand, but somehow we do not understand. We have tried. Memory is a blessed quality. You have given us everything to make this whisper in time a perfect paradise. Truly the forces for bad are as strong as those are for good. It revolves around such a simple emotion known as love, and laughter, and whimsy. But the most important one of these is love. Arthur Kraft, 1971.
This is
Remnants.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm Emily.
And I'm Kayla.
And we are very, very serious podcast hosts.
Yes, we are.
And on that note, I think we have a small confession that we have to make. It's required by law.
Yes, to be honest with our viewers.
Yeah.
No, not viewers, listeners.
Who's that staring at us through the window? Cat, be gone.
We love you, but goodbye.
Okay. So it's been, what, almost a year since we've recorded an episode? Technically. Well, not technically.
Yeah, it's probably been like 8 months since we've recorded our first 2 episodes. A year since we've come up with this idea.
Yes.
And a year since we went to the Sally house for the first time and did the Weston walk through the ghost tales of Weston. My gosh.
The Weston walkthrough goes spooky.
That's how long it's been. I can't even remember what it's called.
But that doesn't mean we haven't been working on the podcast. We've been working on it this whole time, and we may or may not have other episodes done.
Yep.
They're just not in order, because we skipped ahead. Because I don't know why.
Well, we've just gotten really into doing investigations and going places, and then we're like, we need to actually record these. So we have all this content. We've got some killer EVPs, I think.
Yeah, so like in the past year, yes, we have not been recording every episode, but we've become official ghost hunters and we're super good.
Yeah.
And we've like...
It's been a ride.
It's been a ride. We're like so good that we're like, are we lying to ourselves?
I know, we almost feel like we're too good to be true almost, but... Well, you'll have to be the...
And I was going to say, now everybody's turned off this podcast and they're like, oh my god, they're not even popular yet and they're already too big for their britches. They literally just started and they played no evidence. Fakers.
Yeah.
Like, we are faking it so we make it. And in our minds, we have made it, even though we have not even released this podcast.
You know, I'm a big believer in you have to, like, you put it out there and it will happen.
Yeah, manifesting that we are going to be the greatest ghost hunters ever. Mm-hmm. So, I think we're off to a good start.
We are. And we hope you did enjoy our first 2 episodes. We do. We went back and listened to them to make sure that we still wanted to keep them as our first 2. And I think they're good intros into learning some about us and how we've evolved.
They're very chaotic.
A little bit. They might, I
think we'll still be chaotic, but we've definitely changed our format with us having actually done investigations.
And we've been learning, and I feel like each investigation we've done, we've learned a lot and gotten better.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that trend will keep continuing.
I still can't talk too good, though.
Well, I can't either, so...
Why are we doing this?
So why are we a podcast?
We're here to torture everyone who decides to listen to us. Your mistake. All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we are discussing the Glore Psychiatric Museum in St. Joseph, Missouri. St. Joe is about 45-minute drive north of Kansas City, so still in the Northwest Missouri area. And we did a paranormal investigation there. I guess a little bit about what the Glore Psychiatric Museum is. It is a building of the former St. Joseph State Mental Hospital. A majority of the former mental hospital is now a state prison, but the 1968 building where the museum is located served as the hospital's clinic, surgery, and outpatient building for the patients. The museum is named for George Glore, who worked there as an occupational therapist. Glore started his collection in 1966 when he built life-size models of primitive 17th, 18th, and 19th century treatment devices for a Mental Health Awareness Week open house. He then began gathering other artifacts, and it all became a museum in 1967, and Glore continued adding to the collection through his 41-year career with the hospital. After his retirement in the 1990s, he continued to serve as the museum's curator until his death in 2010. Over the decades, the museum has grown to fill 3 floors plus a basement. It's the largest exhibition of psychiatric treatment history in the United States and named one of the 50 most unusual museums in the U.S. The museum's exhibits chronicle the 130-year history of the St. Joseph State Mental Hospital and also the history of mental illness therapy, including, straitjackets to cages to electric shock therapy to dowsing tanks and to ice picks for lobotomies. There's lots of objects in this museum. There are also a lot of displays, such as an exhibit titled Schizophrenia Through Embroidery, which showcases a woman's needlework who couldn't speak for over 30 years, but she communicated through words she stitched into fabric. The oldest display in the museum is from 1910 and shows 1,446 buttons, screws, bolts, and nails that were eaten by a patient and discovered during her autopsy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was really, and it was kind of designed into like a piece of art. It was unusual.
Yeah, so on those, the embroidery thing, that really creeped me out, and it shouldn't have, because it's a good thing, but it was different colors
and
it was
sizes.
And it just...
Very manic.
Yes, very manic. And then the ingestion thing, it was yucky. Mm-hmm. It looked like what my cat leaves on the floor after she eats a hair tie.
Yeah. And so that's just a couple. I mean, there's just a lot more displays like that. There's a morgue in the basement.
Mm-hmm. We did not take the morgue for a spin. I regret being such a coward.
Yeah.
The body fridge or whatever it's called.
Well, they kind of freaked us out a little bit because we went there. So this group called Apex Paranormal, they hosted the event, the ghost hunt, and we went on a Saturday night, and the previous night, Friday, they had also done a group, and someone they accidentally closed the door all the way, and the person was locked in there for a while they tried to find the key.
Absolutely. I would have died.
I don't think I'm claustrophobic, but I would have definitely panicked.
No. I don't mind the small space if I know I can get out, but if the door is locked...
I would have had to really done some meditation to not be freaking out.
Poo-pooed in there.
Well, you wouldn't probably be the first
politely. Well, they would have been dead for a while before they put them in there.
That's true. So they probably would have had all their...
How do you think morgues work?
I don't know, and I don't...
This one's almost done. Push them into the fridge.
I don't know. I don't care to know how morgues work.
I guess if it's fresh enough, it could.
Probably you're right, though.
I don't know the specific timeline. Now I want to look it up to make my Google
history. Well, that
could
be a topic. History of morgues.
How long? Never mind. Continue.
So the Glore Psychiatric Museum, it's actually a part of a complex of St. Joseph museums, along with the Black Archives Museum, the St. Joseph Museum, and the American Indian and History Galleries, did that backwards, whose exhibits are featured on the second floor. And the second floor is where we had an experience.
Yeah, the second floor experience was very multi-layered.
Yes.
That was an interesting time. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to wait to hear about it.
Yeah, and we'll probably discuss more about objects and stuff being on that floor, but here in a little bit once I finish my, even though we've evolved as a podcast, I'm still going to talk about history.
You need to see her right now. She's literally just got her PowerPoint presentation out, and she's got her little pointer. She's taken over half my bedroom and it's just boop, boop, boop. Here's our history.
We might have to start videoing us.
Yeah, so we can actually have viewers now.
Yes. See, I was just manifesting.
You were. Hopefully you didn't manifest a stalker.
Oh. So So a little history on the state mental hospital itself, since I kind of just discussed the museum and its objects. The hospital opened on November 9th, 1874 as the State Hospital for the Insane No. 2, later being known as Lunatic Asylum No. 2. So there must have been a number 1 somewhere. I didn't research it.
Number 2?
Well, there must have been a number 1 somewhere else in the state.
He was number 1.
I don't know.
Just like, oh, I gotta go to the mental state hospital. Which one do you get? Number 2.
2.
Oh, good luck.
Number 4 is way better.
Number 1's for the upper crust. Yep.
Yep. In 1899, it was renamed to the St. Joseph State Hospital. It started with 25 patients and then filled to 275 beds, and then an additional 120 beds were added, and then another 250, and it just became more and more over the years. And by the 1950s, the facility had nearly 3,000 beds and housed a range of individuals from the most criminally insane to those that could be rehabilitated and to those who were just depressed. In the hospital's early years, the patients worked on a farm, raising crops and livestock to provide food for the hospital. By the early 1990s, the majority of patients had been released with the help of modern medications. And in August 1994, the state of Missouri approved a bond that turned the complex into a correctional facility, and that is what it remains today. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of sad that we couldn't investigate the original hospital, but it's also nice that it's being repurposed and not just decaying away, like I guess a lot of...
I kind of feel like a correctional facility would be more helpful if it was still partially a mental hospital.
Well, yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what? I'll just put them in there.
I know. Well, and it's kind of ominous as you're driving up. It's like it's barbed wire fencing.
When you drove us up there, you're like, here's the back entrance. Look, it's the prison. I'm like, I don't want to do a midnight tour of a prison, Kayla. Thank you.
No, we're just going to this other little building right next to the prison.
Right next to the prison that looks like a school. And there's tunnels connecting to an active prison. Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I was getting to the part about the tunnels. They're actually like all underneath the campus. Obviously, they have the tunnels walled off so that we can't just go to the prison, but that's how they used to transport the patients and staff to keep them, during the inclement weather, and probably so they didn't run away also. Because my mom talked about, she grew up in St. Joe, and she said she used to, because the high school she went to is across the street, and so she would like cut through the grounds of the state hospital, so it wasn't ever fenced in. It's actually kind of pretty.
I don't know, it was dark when I was there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've grown up driving by it, but...
Grown up admiring the mental state hospital.
Well, I guess it was mostly, I've known it as the prison.
It's even worse.
It's even worse, yeah. It is like right in the middle of the city, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't, because I've been to St. Joe before, and I did not know that was a prison when we were first there. Mm-hmm. It's a very small area to have a prison, mm-hmm. but it's a small, just probably not anything too crazy big time, but
yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting, so.
Very strange history for that location.
Yeah, I just feel like when you see a lot of mental hospitals being investigated, they're like decaying and...
I definitely had a different image of what that place was going to be before we got there. Mm-hmm. I didn't know the history like at all until we got there. And I was like, oh, this is different than I expected, but it didn't disappoint still.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah. And like I said, the building we actually investigated was like a 1968 building, so...
Like the administrative building, basically, right?
Right. And I think they did some surgery there, and it was like outpatient. So, I mean... I'm not sure how much that building itself is haunted, but all of the objects that they have in there from actual treatments.
Right.
And I say treatments in quotes. So, I think it was maybe more haunted objects.
Yeah, which is an interesting, concept to think about. There were so many, yes, it was a psychiatric museum, and that was a big part of it, was all the different, just... operating tables, operating things. There was what was it called? It was like a fever vat or something where they put...
Yes.
Yeah, they're like...
For the syphilis.
Yes, they had so they're just a bunch of mirrors, and you put the person in there, and then you just heat it up to an insanely high degree and...
Get rid of the syphilis.
Burn the syphilis away, I guess.
They did say it worked mostly, but a lot of the patients came out with severe burns.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, they have all that, but then they also have like actual like Native American historical items, and they have
Black History items.
Yep, they have an entire room of dolls.
Ooh, yeah. Which was
hated.
I definitely got a picture of Emily
Ugh.
in the doll room. She loved it.
Yeah, it was my favorite. So there's all that. There was random rooms for everything, and just a bunch of different items that
And a lot of artwork. So I think I don't know if it was this hospital, I can't remember if it was this hospital specifically or if it was just a collection, was big on art therapy for the patients.
Yes.
And that's kind of where the poem, I guess you could call it, that Emily read at the very start of the episode, that was from Arthur Kraft, who was a patient and an artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had.
We liked pretty much all of his art.
Yes.
It was very
interesting, very spooky, very cool, and I really like his writing, like a bunch. So yeah, there's so many things in there, and it's more like, it seems more likely that the items themselves would be what brought the paranormal activity to the Glore Psychiatric Museum, because the building itself shouldn't.
It's 1968. It's not that old, and nothing really macabre happened there.
Yeah, it's a very basic old building. It's like
Admin.
almost, yeah.
Looks like a school, like Emily said. Like,
yeah, it does. It felt like one too, but there are places in that building that felt different, and they're not the places you'd think. Like when we went to the tunnels, I wasn't that creeped out.
Yeah, you would think the tunnels would be creepy. I actually probably felt the most. I don't know.
Second floor.
The tunnels just felt very calm, and in a way, it's like they were just used for transportation of people. So I don't think anything creepy happened in the.
Don't get me wrong. When the lights were out.
Oh, it was definitely scary, and Emily and I went off on our own down another corridor of the tunnels, and that was like being by ourselves. So that's where that really funny audio clip comes from. I forgot already.
I had a small mental breakdown.
She did. We'll have to, maybe if we get our Patreon going, that can be some Patreon content. But
yeah.
It's pretty hilarious, her reaction to being in the dark.
It's not just dark. That was beyond just dark. That was like, am I in hell?
Yeah.
Okay, it was terrible.
It was.
And she laughed at me.
But I do feel that your reaction was clearly so genuine. And I'm like, oh. I'm sorry.
I snapped at Kayla a little bit.
Yeah. Just turn on the fucking flashlight.
And you did.
And I did.
It worked. So, Emily does not like being in dark, creepy boiler rooms and basements. So
I don't know why not.
I don't know. One of us is more sane than the other. Wonder who that is.
I think it maybe is you. Maybe the fact that I didn't mind being.
You're like, this is nice.
This is comfortable. They did talk about how they hear voices in the tunnels, and they also will often smell laundry. But part of me wonders, could that just be from the prison?
I think so.
Because it is walled off, but they can't totally wall off the pipes. So there is like some cracks, and I almost think those voices could be,
That makes a lot of sense.
and the laundry smell even could be just coming from the prison.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that it's paranormal.
And they did say, like, they see shadow people down there, but it is so dark. And a lot of the equipment they bring with them has bright lights. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy for, especially the multicolored lights, like they have the red ones and the blue ones. Those just play tricks with your eyes. Like,
Well, I actually thought I got a shadow person, but I think we realized it was just because there was a glow of a red light, and I think my camera was trying to focus, and so it looks like there's a shadow person, but I'm pretty sure it's just like matrixing or whatever.
It's so hard to trust your eyes in those situations because your brain is trying to look out for you, so it's going to make things in the darkness so you're alert because it's not safe in the dark boiler rooms, Kayla.
I mean, there's no one in there. Spider's the most ominous thing in there.
That's pretty ominous.
Actually, Missouri does have
Yeah.
brown recluse. Those are the bad ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're bad news bears. Mm-hmm. So anywho. So yeah, the items we believe are kind of the source of any paranormal activity there. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, because what were some of the other stories? Is that where you were going? I kind of interrupted you.
Some of the other things, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the building did serve partially as a school at some point. I thought one of the floors they've mentioned there actually being kids there.
Yes.
And there are children spirits there. They're like, and I don't know if anybody's ever specifically identified one as being a kid, but there are playful spirits and things that will like interact with toys and things that you bring. And those things like that are like, you know, bringing a trigger object into a location, something that will play well with whatever spirit is supposed to be there. So like,
yeah, they brought a lot of balls.
Yeah, they brought toys and like, I mean, like for example, if we were going to a closed down, completely run down psychiatric hospital that had nothing left in it, we would bring something from the Glore Psychiatric Museum to that hospital to maybe stir up activity from ghosts there. I almost feel like the museum works in the opposite way, where like the building is nothing, but the items in there brought something with them. And they're like, there's so many stories about haunted items and like, I don't know, pop culture and ghost stories and all that. Like you've got haunted dolls and haunted boxes and haunted chairs. Like I feel like just...
Yeah, they can attach to objects as much as they can attach to a place.
Yeah, like, so like is every museum haunted?
Ooh, you know, that's really interesting. Because you don't really think about, like, is the British Museum haunted? It surely.
It should be.
It should be, yeah.
I mean, like, some of the museums here only have, like, some of them have the actual items, but a lot of them are replicas. So maybe stuff like that, that's not haunted. But things that have the actual items.
Especially, like, war museums.
Yeah. Your dad's garage.
I mean, yeah, that could, I mean, that we talked about that in our first episode. You know, I grew up with ghost activity, and we think it was tied to, like, my dad's World War II collection and those objects. Yeah.
So it's...
Food for thought.
Food for thought. I'm hungry.
You didn't get your snack.
I had a cheese stick, and I'm
that's
still
right.
hungry.
Well, a cheese stick's not enough.
All right. So we went to, this was actually, us visiting the Glore Psychiatric Museum was kind of our first real, full paranormal investigation, sort of. There were some problems as far as it being in a large group.
Yeah, so I think there was like 27 people, and they split us up into groups of 9, and we were all far from each other, so there wasn't contamination,
Not
but...
far enough.
Poor Emily and I got stuck with the most annoying people. They're those ones that are like, every 2 seconds, they're like, I felt something, I see something. And I'm like, okay. You're not going to see something that often. It's pretty damn rare.
And then we're like, oh my god, it just got cold. Like, dude, we just passed under a vent.
Yeah, the AC was on, like, so that's why the investigator, like, let Emily and I go off on our own.
Because we were just hanging back and we were quiet. Oh my god, there was one part in the investigation where, we'll talk about it more, but we were on the second floor again, and we were kind of, she told us to space out around the hallway, and Kayla and I swear, we were like a mile away from everyone else tucked into this room. And then we were sitting there listening to people talking miles away and just like, I think we separated ourselves more than everyone else. So we like scooted on our butts closer to where everyone was, because like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah, everyone else was like lined up in the hallway on the floor, and we like had put ourselves in this back room.
But a highlight of how annoyed we were was Kayla, while recording, constantly whispering, I'm gonna murder you and then there will be ghosts here.
Yeah, I definitely incriminated myself a lot.
And we had to play back audio to the whole group at one point.
I know, and because I happened to be recording when we got this incredible EVP. Anyways, and so we played it back for the group, and I was so nervous. I was like, please don't let this be when I'm like...
We'd have to play it off as a ghost. Like, we didn't say that. Oh my god. I'm gonna murder you.
I'm gonna murder you.
That was great. Oh.
Yeah, but
a cool part.
But it was really the Apex Paranormal. They were awesome. They can't control who signs up for these events, but yeah, they were great, and they had all this equipment that we could use. I mean, Emily and I had our own digital recorder and an EMF detector, but they had a spirit box we used, which I don't know if we want to segue into that, but so it was cool. They talked about the devices and we got to use them all, which was really cool.
Yeah, so they had all types of equipment. The one we used the most heavily, aside from, just recorders to record EVPs, which seemed to be overall the most effective. Mm-hmm. We had the most luck with that. Whatever we're getting, it seems like the most luck. But we did use a spirit box, and that was one I was really interested in kind of interacting with, because I've seen it in a lot of things, and I'm like, this is weird.
Well, and that's on our wish list, yes. Forever, is we really want a spirit box.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm torn on spirit boxes. We got a lot of interaction with them. They're weird. So I wanted to do a little bit of more research into what they were and kind of some of the theory behind why they might work. And it doesn't really go that deep. Mm-hmm. So, obviously most people interested in paranormal anything are familiar with the idea of like what a spirit box is. They've been used very popularly. They're shown in ghost hunting shows, even in like video games like Phasmophobia, which I'm going to make you play at some point. Yeah. And we're going to record it.
That would be fun.
Great. So, the spirit box. The spirit box is basically like a ghost radio. It's a really stupid way to describe it, but that's what it is. So, what it does is quickly jump through AM channels, creating a really loud, obnoxious white noise. So it's just constantly skipping. So it shouldn't stay on any one channel long enough for you to catch what they're talking about. It should just blaze past it. So the idea is if you hear a single word or phrase come through the spirit box, then bam, you've got a ghost. So basically it's like rah, 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 noise, and then I'm a potato. That's a ghost, in theory. So the spirit box itself is actually really new. It was invented in 2002 by a guy called Frank Sumption. He's dead now. He had a heart attack.
Oh.
So, R.I.P. Frank. Frank actually only made a total of 182 of his boxes, and these types of spirit boxes are actually called the Frank box, because Frank made it. He gave out these boxes as he saw fit, so that people could quote unquote hear the voice. I think he was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't want to hear Frank's voice from his 182 magic spirit boxes, but whatever. There are only 97 of these original boxes still in existence. Oh. I'd be kind of curious if they're like somehow more effective.
Or less.
Because the spirit box that's popularized now is a modification upon the Frank box.
Probably more.
Yeah, probably a little bit more
techie,
yeah.
I don't know the one.
That's the layman's term for it. They're more techie.
They're more science-based or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? I'm
less
let you
Frankie.
Talk. They're less Frankie.
We're getting better. All right. So the main cited issue with spirit boxes is how subjective they are. Mm. You hear a quick, jarbled word or phrase, and you make assumptions based on what you've asked it.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for you to form the response you want to hear. So if you ask, why are you here? And then you hear cold, you're like, oh my God, they froze to death.
Yeah.
So, you don't really get anything super logical from that. So the unreliable nature of the spirit box has led to a recent and popular new innovation in paranormal investigation known as the Estes method. And you and I both learned about this very recently.
Yeah, because we're like, all these ghost shows we're watching or paranormal podcasts we listen to, we're like, what is this Estes method they keep talking about? Yeah. It feels like it came up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and at first I thought it was just a different way of, like a different name for using a spirit box, which technically it is, but
it's a method.
It's a method. It's like a new experimental method. And it is actually named after where it was first used, which is Estes, Colorado. More specifically, inside the Stanley Hotel.
Oh.
Which,
is haunted.
Yep, the birthplace of The Shining and all that.
Heck yeah.
This revised method was birthed in 2019 as a brainchild of filmmaker Carl Pfeiffer, paranormal researcher Connor Randall, and paranormal personality Michelle Tate while they were discussing new and improved ways of communicating with ghosts while filming their docu-series Hellier.
Oh.
And side note, we really need to watch that docu-series.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it's about a group of paranormal investigators who go to this dying, coal mining town, and they research some sort of, generation-spanning mystery.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
And it's got like a ton of awards and everything, so
Well,
I think it's on.
we need to have a marathon night.
We do.
A docuseries.
Yes. I'm very up for that. Okay. So what is the Estes method? Essentially, it removes the issue of the spirit box being too subjective by isolating the listener with headphones. So you'll have a questioner speaking to the spirits and asking all the questions, obviously, and then the listener announces what they hear on their headphones. And what they hear is completely free of, outside influences. Yeah. So, yeah, they hear all the normal things, but they'll have the voice, the sound, whatever phrases or words come through, and they'll hear them, and then they will say them, allowing the questioner to continue speaking to the spirit without influencing what is actually being heard.
That's actually a really good method.
Yeah. Yeah, it improves upon it a lot, and it kind of helps. If you're talking to anything intelligent, if the theory works, it should make it a little less polluted by human error or confusion.
Mm-hmm. And just hearing what you want to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how much I believe in a spirit box.
Yeah.
In the theory, I think the Estes method does make it slightly more plausible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would sooner accept information gleaned from that type of experiment versus just regular spirit boxing.
Yeah.
Even though I still find the concept a little questionable.
Yeah.
But we did have some really interesting encounters with it when we were at the Glore Psychiatric Museum.
Yes. I know. I can't wait to share that because I'm kind of with Emily. I'm not sure how much I think spirit boxes are fun. I'm not sure how much I believe them, but a very specific question was asked and a long word that was very fitting. I don't know. It was very compelling that.
But again,
are we just...
Are we hearing what we wanted to hear? It could have been anything, and if we'd asked a different question, would we have heard a different word?
Yeah, or that same...
Yeah, and then it would be like, that meant nothing.
Yeah.
Why would it say that?
Well, we'll play it for you guys later, and you can form your own opinion, but...
Yeah, so like an interesting thing that we did like a roving spirit box while we were there. Like we literally, the spirit box they had has a little handle, and he was just carrying it around the hallway. And
we would like stay in a room for a bit, and then we'd move on.
And then the spirit box is just there going.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
It is, yes. It is. It would be quite annoying to listen to for long periods of time.
Imagine being a ghost and you're just like, I'm just trying to fucking be dead here.
And you're like clogging up
this motherfucking box, making all this noise. I'm trying to tell you to leave me alone, and you're like, oh, he's talking to me.
Yeah. I mean, the room we were in, although we were then asking questions based on the room we were in, it all kind of fits, but...
So, do we want to talk about the second floor now?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yes. Because that is our...
That's where things got for realsies, maybe. Or either...
It's such a good EVP that we are a little skeptical of it, but...
It's like... And I don't know if that makes us good ghost hunters or bad ghost hunters. We're like, it's too good. It's too good to be true. I want it to be true.
We're like humble bragging.
But like, there's just so many outlying factors. Should we set the scene?
We should set the scene. So we had kind of already sort of talked about the scene where this was where Emily and I put ourselves at the end of the hall in a little room, and then we're like, oh wait, we're too far removed.
Threatening to murder.
Yes. So we go back out into the hall. So everyone, there is 9 of us, Emily and I included, and we're all sitting in the hall. So I can see everyone.
And, to add a little bit more detail,
oh, sure.
The second floor was more specifically the general, like, American history floor, kind of.
Correct. It did not have psychiatric objects on it. It was
strictly a museum. It did have the dolls.
And previously it was some part of the hospital. Yeah. I forget what the second floor was.
I think that's where the kids were.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And to go along with this, I might be getting ahead of you. So the investigator that was with us, they had talked about Apex Paranormal, that they had previously gotten what sounded like an overhead announcement EVP. Like a hospital being like, paging Dr. Smith.
Yeah, they were like arts and crafts lunch at noon, something like that. Like something
Right.
you'd expect to hear.
In a hospital.
Which is weird because it was never.
It was a surgery center and
Yes.
outpatient clinic
But yeah.
and admin building. So it would have had a PA system.
True. So
I mean, schools have PA systems.
that's true. So that is very important to what we ended up experiencing. So we were all spread out on the second floor. Kayla and I were kind of back near the it was the African American history section, kind of in the back. We were kind of in the gallery area, and then there were several other people positioned throughout the hallway, and there were 3 different spirit boxes running at once.
Yes.
And I think the paranormal investigator was trying to kick things up because they'd had some activity on that floor prior, because we were circulating groups.
And that was our last, so we went to 3 places, so that was the third, that was the last of the night, so I think she was trying to amp up.
Yeah.
So she was doing an experiment, having 3 spirit boxes going at once.
Yeah, and the idea behind that is obviously the jumping between the AM channels to try to say something, but also like, it's very commonly theorized that electricity can help feed spirits and give them the energy they need to communicate. So running 3 of these at once could create, it's almost like a little remote
Battery.
Wi-Fi spot.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Like, here you go, you can log into my Wi-Fi if you need to say something. And they did, potentially. Yeah,
and I will say, from what I could see, no one else had, it was weird. I was the only one recording in our group. Well, no, and then the other lady, she had her
She was recording on her phone.
On her phone, so she did have her phone out, but everyone else was just sitting there.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any other devices out except for the other lady that was recording on her phone.
Yeah,
and I was recording with a digital recorder.
I will say, I know we're doing a lot of leading up to what actually happened.
I know you're probably getting like, just play it for us.
It got to feel very weird on that floor while we were asking questions, and I don't know if it's because it was dark and it was kind of late and weird. I got to the point, and this was before the big moment, but I got to the point where I was feeling really, really sad. Like really.
That's true, and I have that, like, you being like, I just feel really sad.
Yeah, it's just like overwhelmed. Like I was almost like the feeling when you're like holding back tears a little bit. You're like, I have no reason to be sad. I'm just thinking about things that are sad, and I feel an overwhelming sort of just melancholy for no reason. And then shortly after, something very interesting happened. I don't know if you wanna. You're the recorder.
Yeah, I don't think I was not having any specific feelings, but Emily did, talk saying, I just feel really, so I was there for her saying she was experiencing these feelings. I personally wasn't. I was just feeling, I don't know, just calm, just listening. Except for wanting to kill people. But I will say the group had calmed down by this point. I think it was probably midnight at this point.
They were tired finally.
And they were finally tired, and it was our third area we were investigating. So the group had calmed down by this point, and we're not talking nearly as much.
There were still a lot of cold spots, and I had to refrain from saying, guys, there's an emergency exit right here. It opens to the outside. It's cold. But
so I don't think there was any interference in that regard. I mean, the CVP, it's definitely not it's not someone talking.
Yeah, we'll just play it, and then we'll talk about it after.
Yep. So here we go.
Enough for all of us to hear. Whatever they hear, they're going to announce it. Was that you told me just a minute ago? Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us your name? Hi. What was that? Monique, was that you?
No. Did you hear that?
Monique, was that you?
No.
What the hell was that?
What? That was weird.
That was weird.
It's like somebody was talking.
That sounded like a speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing down here besides you.
No, but my
we are.
Q2 meter keeps flashing.
Did you guys do anything?
We didn't
No.
do anything.
But I am recording.
It sounded like static.
It didn't sound like it was over you either.
I was thinking,
It just said yes.
It was connected to speak.
It almost,
Yes.
it sounded like right there. It almost sounded like a hospital speaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
That's
did.
exactly what it sounded like.
Heard what? And you said you are recording?
I am recording.
Perfect. We're probably gonna have to listen back to that.
Okay. Cool.
I thought it was one of these machine things.
Okay, before we get into the EVP, I feel the need, because we just listened to it, so I'm like still crying from laughing so hard over how annoyed Kayla sounded. I am recording.
You can, I didn't realize that. You can just hear how annoyed I was by these people. Clearly, Emily has way more patience than I do.
I thought I like struggled dealing with annoying people, but she's like, dumbass, I'm recording, I'm gonna kill you.
Well, I think I was still caught up on, because we included it like at the very beginning of the clip. You hear one of the girls, "It's cold. I feel cold," and you hear the investigator go, "Okay."
It's like, good for you.
And I'm like, that was like the 50th time I'd heard that.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I'm cold, it touched me, ah. So anyways, the EVP.
It's I think you could probably pick it out. It's that hospital speaker or speaker announcement.
Yeah.
And it did not sound like it came from the spirit box. It was so loud and clear. That's why, you can hear us in the clip. We're all like, did someone just play something?
Yeah, and that was the most weird and authentic thing I've experienced in a long time. Like, it was sort of kind of clarified. There were 3 spirit boxes. They were being held by a person each, very close to them. So if that sound had come across one of the spirit boxes, it would have been very obvious to the person holding it.
Right.
And you can hear the spirit boxes kind of chiming in on the background when we first start the clip. The sound that came over
Is so loud. And it's got that like, and then you hear a voice, which we can't make out what the voice says, but like, that is 100% what like an old timey speaker announcement, like PA system.
Yeah, and
sounds
I
like.
remember when we heard that, I got chills. I'm like, what is that? And that is kind of, and we'll play it again, but I will say that's why we were saying it's so good that we're like, is this real? Because it's too good.
But the Apex Paranormal, what was her name that was
Shannon,
with us? Shannon, yes, that was with us. She was like kind of calmly freaking out, and I think that's where
She was very excited.
She was very excited, and she was very excited when she learned I had recorded it.
Yeah, we like literally all huddled while she played back on her little digital recorder, and Kayla was so proud. She was like flipping her hair over her shoulder and be like, I did it. I am the star pupil.
I think part of my noise was like, why was no one else recording? Which actually that other lady was recording on her iPhone.
She was. She played it later.
We later found out, but
you.
But my digital recorder, I think, because I think it came through clearer than on her iPhone. But I don't know. But yeah, I was the star, because then we, as the group got together, the whole group got together right after, and we like played that for them through a speaker, and I like felt like I got called up to the front, and
She did. She strutted her way up to the front and plugged her digital recorder into a little speaker, and she's like, here's what I got.
But yeah, and so all of the Apex Paranormal people were like, wow, that is amazing. So they've been investigating for quite a while, and I guess we didn't really talk about them. They're fascinating because they all have a background in psychology.
Yeah, that was.
And then
really
they
cool.
all still like work in the field, whether they're nurses or therapists. And so then they just do this ghost hunting or paranormal investigating on the side. So they're all very, I guess, kind of tuned in to, psychology and such. So they're very credible in my opinion.
Yeah, and I liked all of them a lot. Like, they seemed very logical and
Yes.
very calm. Like, they approached things from a reasonable perspective, and it wasn't like
Yes.
everything must be something.
Right, and even as excited as Shannon got, she was not like, oh my god! Like, she was still calm.
Yeah, so that was cool.
When we got this EVP. So, yeah, we really want to do another investigation with them. But yeah, we'll play the EVP for you again.
Hi.
So there it is.
I still get goosebumps when I listen back
Yeah.
to it.
Like, that better be legitimate and not somebody pulling our leg, because that was so cool.
I mean, I was just like talking to Emily as we were listening to it again. I feel like if someone was playing a video, like you probably would have made the words
Yeah.
discernible. Like you clearly hear the like, and then you can't make out what's being said. So I don't know. To me, that kind of lends into the genuineness.
And I do remember, actually, now that you said that, I remember talking about it on our drive back to Taco Bell, because Ghost Hunts are sponsored by Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, we've made that our thing.
Yeah. We were talking about it, and like, if somebody chose to play audio to make people believe they'd heard a ghost, I don't feel like that would have been it.
Right, because we didn't know, it wasn't until they were giving us like the history of the place when we were in the conference room before we started breaking off into investigations that we even knew that they had previously gotten a like PA announcement or PA system announcement, EVP, in the past.
Yeah, and like, we were so put off by it that I'm pretty sure I remember we were looking around that floor afterwards looking for a PA system. We're like, where did that come from?
And there's
there was
not
nothing.
one.
No.
Nope.
So, I don't know. I want to believe that that legitimately was paranormal, because it was weird as hell.
It was, and this the vibe, like, I mean, you
Yeah.
can hear, we're all like, what just happened? What was that? And I mean, it's just, and it was so loud in the room, like, that was not coming from the spirit box.
Yeah.
It was just all around us, like
Yeah, 'cause
an
you can
actual.
still hear the spirit box humming along in the background, all three of them, and like, it was one of those things that was just so jarring that it was hard to process when it happened. Like, I remember not even like fully understanding what I was hearing. I was just like, I thought it came from Shannon's walkie-talkie, actually, but it didn't.
Right, yeah.
She very clearly was very worked up about it and said that it wasn't her. So
Yeah. Well, and I think you can even hear my almost like I am recording, like annoyance, but also like jar, like disconnect,
Yeah,
like what did we just get?
it was difficult to process, because it was. I think when we go into these things, we don't expect to hear anything live. We want to, and yeah, we do get, at least I get a little scared, because I'm like, what if something does happen? But you don't actually expect to hear something while you're there.
Like with your own ears.
Yeah, and then when we heard that, it's like, wait a second, what was that?
And it was so loud. Like, I don't know. We're probably talking in circles at this point, but we're just so excited about it. It's just so incredible. And I mean, you can make your own opinions about it. It's, I don't know. It's pretty amazing. to
So
me.
now that we've played it twice, I'm going to say what I think it's saying.
Okay. Ooh, yes.
Literally, it just sounds like it's going, damn. So,
Oh, you did say that even
Yeah.
like on the drive home. I forgot about that.
damn. That's all I heard. Somebody just came over a PA system, just go, damn.
Maybe the ghosts were also annoyed at the people.
Damn.
I'm gonna murder them with you.
Either that, or they were like, oh, they hot.
Oh yeah,
Damn.
That's definitely it.
Yeah. Those girls hunched in the corner, sitting cross-legged in the dark. Damn. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
I also do, thinking of sitting cross-legged. Oh man, I realized ghost hunting is a hard work. My legs hurt so bad from sitting on, standing.
There were a lot
and
of
sitting.
stairs. I thought my leg was gonna fall off the next day, because I was sitting on the floor in the tunnel, and later I was like, it's probably really dirty. I probably shouldn't have done that. And it's almost gone now, but shortly after, I got a bruise on the back of my leg that literally looked like somebody bit me. Like it was a ring. Like it looked like a bite mark.
You didn't tell me that.
I didn't. Because I was like, that's nothing. But it literally...
Maybe the tunnels do have activity.
And I remember, because I'd been rubbing at my leg a lot because it started getting itchy.
Maybe it was a spider bite. If it had a ring around it.
Well, it was a ring of bruises.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
like
was
you said,
literally
a bite,
like a
like a
blotchy ring of, like a person bite.
Oh, that's
Like,
super
it was-
creepy.
It's... I think it's mostly gone, but I had like... I'm showing her my leg.
Ooh, la, la.
Not that leg.
Not that leg.
Oh, it's mostly gone. But it's like right there, and it was just... I was like... I definitely took a picture of it. I'll show you at some point. But it literally looked like somebody just like, nah.
Oh,
So I might have been
that
dumped in
is
the
creepy.
tunnel.
Well,
But I'm also just like, I walked into a corner.
that bit you.
Yeah. A corner with teeth. And a very circular bite pattern. So,
that is interesting.
Who knows?
Who knows? So,
Damn.
yeah, you guys will have to comment on our Instagram or like on Apple Podcast in the review, like your opinion on. Oh, ow, Rogue. Oh, God.
See, that is why I'm bruised. It's my cat.
Your opinion, or email us. Our email is podcast.remnants@gmail.com. It's kind of a weird email because every version of Remnants podcast at Gmail was taken, which is
Rude.
kind of weird because there's not really other Remnants podcasts. But anyways, podcast.remnants@gmail.com. You could email us your opinion on what you think of this EVP.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that one. That was a very fun time.
It was. So I guess we could go into also on the second floor, probably about 30 minutes later. So after this, we went back downstairs to the first floor to the conference room, and we all kind of like shared our experiences, and ours was definitely the highlight.
That's where Kayla got to shine.
And then we broke off into smaller groups of where people wanted to spend the last 30 minutes before we had to leave. So luckily this time we only had like 5 people with
Oh
us.
my god, I just remembered something that happened.
Oh, yeah. But we ditched the annoying guys and girl, but we still had another annoying lady, but she was a little less annoying than the 3 teenagers were. To me, at least. She wasn't constantly going, I'm cold, I feel someone touch me.
No, but she spent like 10 minutes in the tunnel being like, there's somebody right here.
Oh, she
They're
did.
walking in circles around me. Oh, I'm waving my arm around like you can see.
She also she asked weird questions. She'd be, how did you die? And I was being like, I don't think you're supposed to really ask that, because what if they don't know that they died?
I'm like, what the fuck? Well, no, that's better than the one guy who was like, do you want me to open a window so you can leave?
Yeah, that was like, what the hell?
We can show you to the door.
I forgot about that.
We're assholes.
We have this all recorded. Maybe we'll share it on our Patreon.
You can listen to us being judgmental.
And me constantly saying, I'm gonna murder them.
Yeah, we're gonna need to cut all that audio together.
But
See,
I forgot where we're going.
So this was on the second floor. We were doing a spirit box session in the.
That's true. We went with Eddie. I think that was his name. Anyways, we went with him. I liked him a lot. He was cool.
I liked him too. We were in the election room.
Yes. So it had all this,
Was it?
memorabilia for voting.
Yeah. And I think the time period would have been when Eisenhower was elected.
Correct.
So, we should just play it.
We'll just play it. And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
Just kidding. So we live edit ourselves and we're like, oh, we should say something else because we're doing this differently than we planned. We are actually only going to play a spirit box response to a question asked. So we're going to do kind of like a little mini Estes session where we're going to play what the spirit box said. And then we'll play the question later so you can come to a conclusion of what you think it said first. So now we're going to play it. Bye-bye.
That was as plain as day.
So, what do you think you heard? We've listened back, and it actually doesn't sound like a discernible word when you just play that answer on its own. You can definitely tell it's like 3 syllables, which is convincing in a sense because that's a longer word.
Yeah.
But
I definitely think, and we'll play the full recording here in a second, I do think that the question forms the response you hear 100% in this case, because the more I listen to it without hearing the question first, the more I'm like, that's just sounds. I don't know.
it's just
Yeah, mer, mer, mer. So we're going to play the full mer, mer, mer recording, and then we'll see if you agree.
Are you a Democrat or Republican?
That was as plain as day.
So it is plain as day when you have the question first. It clearly sounds like Republican
Yeah.
as an answer.
That makes a huge difference. Like, you can hear the sound when you hear the question, and that just goes back to a spirit box just being so subjective that I feel like the Estes method is really the only way to actually do that and maybe get something worth your time, because
Although a part of me does still find this particular clip compelling because there's an answer pretty immediately after we ask the question, and it is like a 3-syllable word because I was recording the whole time, the whole 30 minutes we were doing the spirit box session, and you can hear a lot of garbled sounds come through, but this is one of the few times like a 3-syllable word comes through, like Republican. I guess Republican's 4, isn't it? Republican. But anyway, but it is like, so I kind of still think it could be actually an intelligent response, but when you just listen to it by itself, it doesn't really sound like Republican.
It is the most compelling spirit box interaction we got that night, I would say, other than the orgy ghost. My favorite. There was 100% in that same session. We'll have to try to find it. There was a ghost that said they wanted an orgy. I swear to God.
And we will play that for you now.
Yes.
We'll go there if you tell us. Something?
Oh,
ORG?
ORG, that's what I
What's
heard.
ORG? Well,
Is it a voting room?
ORG.
What?
our operating room, maybe?
Let's see.
The deep, high. So what artifact? And we'll go there to try and seek you out.
I love how you can like hear Emily and I giggling because clearly we heard orgy and everyone else was like, ORG, what is that?
Guys, orgy. The ghost wants an orgy. And I'm like, oh, not with present company. No, thank you. But yeah, that was one of my highlights from that night was the orgy ghost.
Yeah.
But there was, when we were listening back, I don't know if you guys heard what was it, a high?
Yeah, at the end of that clip, there's very clearly a high. And we did not, I mean, clearly you can tell no one is reacting to that high at the time. And the only male in our group was Ed, the investigator from Apex Paranormal. And it sounds like a male voice. I almost think that's an EVP that came through.
Yeah, because
Super weird.
I mean, we listened through several minutes of audio listening to Ed asking questions, and it sounded nothing like that high. And each time we heard it, we were like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
So
It's just so random, and none of us
and it
seem to
sounded
be...
a lot like the orgy voice.
Yeah, and none of us seem to really be reacting to it. So I don't know. Take what you want from that, but super weird note to end on.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So that's all we're gonna share with you right now from that evening. But it was very fun.
It was really fun. Thank you, Apex Paranormal. That was awesome. And yeah, the Glore Psychiatric Museum was just a really fascinating place. And I don't know, I think we got one of the most amazing EVPs, too good to be true EVPs.
No kidding.
It was just such a great experience. And I guess I don't know if this is even relevant, but we were there like from the time we were there, it was like 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. and it went by so quick.
It did.
It was kind of amazing. Like I guess that was one of our first like true ghost hunts, and I was kind of worried like, man, I do not stay up that late anymore. But it went so quick.
And I wasn't even tired when we were done. Like, and I would do that again in a heartbeat. That was so much fun.
Yeah, so expect more of that because we had a lot of fun and I guess had some success. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'd be very interested to hear. But I think that's our episode.
It is. So yeah, follow us on Instagram at remnantspod. You can email us at podcast.remnants@gmail.com.
Yeah, and make sure to leave a review wherever you listened.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.